Good morning, everybody. For anybody that's on here that doesn't know me, my name's Jeff Jackson. I have the opportunity and the pleasure to help you all as a forage specialist. I get to run the grain sorghum and the forage sorghum program at Cropland and do some Triticale business as a product manager. So one of the first things I wanted to introduce everybody to, if you're not aware or doing so already, I do some social media stuff. That's no secret, and some of you probably get more of it than you'd like. But I wanted to bring to your attention that for utilizing some of these tools for our sellers, growers, sales staff, basic agronomy knowledge, whatever it might be on the crops that I do work with, I try to put some stuff out on social media. One of the platforms would be YouTube, which is the center screen here. And on YouTube, I just simply go by @ForageFanAddict. I started a couple of Facebook groups. So not everybody's on social media. Not everybody does Facebook. But if you're interested, I have started a group called the Sorghum Spot. And the Sorghum Spot is basically out there to do grain sorghum and forage sorghum content, discussion, questions. If you go out there today, you can see there's roughly 840 members as of this morning. We started it about 6 weeks ago. I have a page that I call Alfalfa Fans Only. Alfalfa Fans Only, guys and gals. That's going to be all about alfalfa, agronomics, how to use it, when to use it, harvest, storage, management, all of that kind of stuff in there. Neither one of these sites are meant to be I'm going to call it a product sales site. I think I have had some people try to enter the Alfalfa Fans Only page to buy and sell alfalfa bales. That's not what it's intended for. It's about agronomics, learning the education, that part of it. So if you have people that would like to be involved in those kind of things, especially the alfalfa page, I have some questions set up so that, and I'm letting everybody in one at a time. So it's a manual entry, private group. If it looks like a spam, a spoof, a deadhead, I delete those profiles right away. There are 3 questions to go into that Facebook group. Please answer them. If you answer those 3 questions, I'm not even going to look at the profile because the bots aren't going to get the questions right. So join me, learn that way, share with your growers, share with other retail people. I'm going to try to have a lot of information out there and more going forward so that it's easy click, easy share, help people out. Okay. Any thoughts or questions on that? Does anybody have an opinion, a platform, a way that you'd prefer to get more information that's easy, quick? I want this to be for all of you to get info and learn fast. Does that work for some of you? Most of you? I do some TikTok. Very rarely hit like X or anything like that. Okay. Silence is good some days. You can unmute yourself, I believe, if you want to. Evidently you can because Tom did earlier. Changes, material, what's going on out there? There'll be a conversion over the next couple of seasons. So we're starting right now. Actually, we started last year with some Soar Pro for a seed safener on a few of your products. There will be more products this year with Soar Pro available. We need to eat through everything that says Concept and Cruiser on it as fast as we can this year. So as you're ordering product and talking to growers, if the Concept or Concept plus Cruiser option is available, I'd love for that to get used and go first. Please, when it gets to your warehouse, if you can remember it, that gets delivered first. I don't want that stuff back because we're going to try to transition away from it. Soar Pro and Senator will give us very good use, equal to protection when we talk about insect control and safe and seed for pre-emerge herbicide, but we have better positions with those products in the industry from a pricing standpoint today. So now I have a note here that says I have a poll reminder. So I have a poll for you all, and I'm going to see if I can pull this off so I'm going to launch a poll right now. You guys see a poll on your screen? Did they
Yes, we
pop
do.
up?
Yep, we
Okay,
do.
so, all right. So why I put that out there, folks, we are talking about doing Ascend ST3 on sorghums from cropland in the bag upstream treatment. So you guys will have that on the bag going forward. So I figured I'd throw out a couple poll questions out there to see how you feel about that, because I've been just making these decisions on my own, and I would love to get your feedback from the field on if that will help us. Okay, so literally, folks, yeah, 3 people out of 30, 4 people out of 30. We're getting a few more answers in there. That's great. So it looks to me like, as a consensus, the ST3 would be nice to have on the seed. If you have particular products, now, this is maybe sharing too much, but you can almost see how some of this is going to go. I think ST3, folks, from us getting a quick start out of the ground, root established fast, that will help us in some of these drier conditions where we have limited moisture, but we need a big root as fast as we can get it to get down. So we'll take a look at your information on those poll things. We're going to end that now, get that moved out of the way. We'll talk about these products in just a few minutes, but we introduced 3 new products in the forage sorghum lineup this year, and they will go like this. 3101 new conventional. Going to be earlier to go north, try to get done faster, or when we get into these double crop, replant, following wheat, following other canning crops, those kind of things, to get a single cut forage sorghum in the ground, out of the ground, cut fast, 85 days, shorter plant height. FS 3300. If people like the NK 300 type things out there with big grain, 90 to 95 day maturity range, we have a new product in that range. FS 3805. If people like the old Sorghum Partners SS 405, want something that's just really drought tolerant, stress tolerant, big tall plant, long maturity, we've got it in the lineup as well. So just keep your hats on. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Hey, Jeff,
Please.
that 3501 there, or excuse me, 3101, there's a number similar to that called 3501. Any relationship?
None whatsoever.
Thank you.
Simply a placeholder. 31 to be yearling maturity. 01 is Jeff had to throw something in a couple spots. Pretty
Sounds
simple.
good.
Yep. Thank you for asking. 1531 will be our option this year, again with Cruiser on it as an option. I love everybody to so we have a supply populated with Cruiser. If you think you're going to need some, this is going to be the product we use with Cruiser as a sorghum sedan grass this year. I think I put maybe 1,000 units out of 15,000 of that product online. So grab that. Another note for you, we're going to talk about all these in a minute anyway, but 1931, 1961 are going to be replacements for literally 3 products in our old pipeline. So keep that in mind as we go. We're going to have some VNS stuff, which is basically blended product that might have a little bit of a germ issue, under 85% germ, cover crops, guys hedging on a disaster, any of those kind of things. Call if you need some help. I'd love to get rid of that product versus dumping it in a landfill somewhere. Advance and Guardian both will be priced. They are priced a little cheaper on your price cards today. They will be done and gone after this season. Anything left over will be a blended product going into 27. So let's get those used up. Battle product priced. 4613 is a new pearl millet change, going to directly replace 4611, 4612. We have a honey sweet photo period sensitive. We have a honey sweet prussic acid free, and also a BMR prussic acid free product. So we're going to talk about all these, but I want to give you an intro slide that stuff's coming. Okay, so 3101, we're going to just dive right into these products. And again, as Tom does a good job. If you have a question or something, go ahead and go off mute and ask. I will try to watch the chat box as well. 3101, brand new introduction, going to be a shorter statured, early 85-day type product to soft dough. White grain, has a pretty substantial grain head compared to what you're used to seeing in a 85, 90, 95-day type product. So going to be a very good grain producer for that person that really likes that grain. White grain, really good disease tolerance. Again, shorter statured, conventional product. I should have put a poll in here. Maybe you guys can throw your thing in the chat box. When we sell 3211, 3212 as our earliest products in the past, I'm curious if you guys can help me understand. Are we selling it because it's a BMR? Or are we selling them because they're the earliest pieces that we have in the lineup? I'd love to hear from you because I added this conventional, being one of the earliest conventionals I could get a hold of that wasn't extremely tall. We have good standability, all those kind of things. So why are we purchasing 3211, 3212? Because they're early or because they're BMR? I'm curious to see if people would like the earlier product like 3101 versus 3211 because it's earlier, faster, get finished. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured some of you'd have some of those reactions in the chat. So, all right. Yeah, sorghum, there is a little bit of change in terminology in the industry too. We used to call these the sugarcane aphids. You're going to see me do a slow roll transition into sorghum aphid tolerance. That's what the national sorghum people have started using. So they would like us to use sorghum aphid tolerance for some of those terminologies, if you will. 3211. So Mick, your question about 3501 and standability. The 3101, yes, should have as good and or better, I would say probably better standability than 3501. 3501 can get 8 feet tall. This is going to, or 8 to 9 feet tall. This should stay in that 6 to 7 foot range, put on a decent head. But I think, again, we need to watch the populations on these. When we start getting decent grain yields on them, let's stay in that 60, 65,000 plants per acre range. We start getting north of 70. We start crowding plants. I had a discussion with the guy the other day. We were talking plant population, and then come to find out he's doing 40-inch rows. Well, 40-inch rows is all fine and dandy, but now instead of our plants being, 4 inches apart, we were 1.5 inches apart. Anyway, all those kind of things change the dynamics of how we utilize these things. But I think, Mick, if we keep our plant population right, we will be fantastic standability on an early conventional. Yes. Probably equal to or more grain than 3501 as well, from what I've seen so far. So 3211, again, great BMR, 95 day-ish generally. The guys in the north is going to be a little bit more like 95 days. The guys in the south can push 90 days. It's all about heat and how some of these things move around based on heat units for how fast they can get done. So we are used to 3211. This product gets somewhere in that 8 to 9 foot tall. We want to watch populations. In the last note on here, it says recommended seeding rate, 60 to 70,000 plant population. We need to kind of stick there unless somebody calls me and says, hey, I'm going to take this as a hay crop, or we're going to graze it, or we're going to do something else, and I got a few bags on the shelf. Can I plant it thicker? Well, if we're not letting it get 9 feet tall, produce grain, and stand there for another 30 days, it's probably going to be a good idea, and it'll be fine. If you're not, and you're going to let that thing go out to cut silage, and you might need to let the frost grab it, if you will, to kill it and get it to dry down, you need to watch that plant population. And that's probably the biggest problem we have with 3211 and the next one called 3212 is that people in the north are going to plant those two BMRs. They're going to push the population. They're going to be high fertility. We're going to crank a big plant really fast. and then we're going to leave it stand there to dry. And then we're going to get a frost because it's still not dry. And then we're going to leave it for another 20 days. And now we have a plant lodging problem with bad stalk integrity because it's really not meant to stand there 20 days after a frost to get dry. Hence the reason I brought forward a conventional earlier maturity that should stand much, much better for people that might need to wait. And it gives us an earlier window to get things done faster. All right, 3212. When we compare those two, folks, they are very highly related. They have the same male side. 3212 has a tendency to stand just a touch better at those populations, but you give up a little bit of that fiber digestibility. 3211 has a little bit better, higher fiber digestibility. So just a small trade-off and a tweak in there. Literally, those two have been in the lineup together for inventory management and to give us a little bit of flexibility in that portfolio, but we're going to manage them much, much the same. 3212, just a touch better on standability, but it does not fix this 95-day BMR problem as we go farther north and get up into northern South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, up around some of those areas where we need a little more time to get things done. Very, very similar, almost the same tech sheet, just a little different note on forage quality and standability. So the next one I wanted to throw in here for you all is the DT trait. So we do have a herbicide tolerant forage sorghum that we call 3661. Roughly 95 days to maturity, maybe push into 100 days in certain environments where we stay cooler and maybe not enough heat units. This thing does not get real tall. In probably the most ideal conditions I've seen it, it's probably been 5 foot tall, maybe stretched to 6 if it's been perfect. It will fluctuate based on moisture availability. You get extremely hot, dry, it's going to shorten that thing up. Yield's pretty good. For the guys that need that herbicide tolerance to get control of some of those grassy weeds, this is going to be a great option for them to make sure that they get a good stand, keep the weeds out, keep the grassy weeds out, and have that herbicide tolerance. Does anybody have any testimonial, gut feeling, seen some last year, want to talk about it at all? I did see it in a few locations. Looked pretty good. Literally had some along the interstate down by Amarillo, Texas last year as well. A couple quarters of it looked very good. Okay. All right. 3,300. Some of us old folks have been around long enough. There's a lot of chatter at times about NK300. This is going to be an NK300 style product. Stress Monster. Probably going to be better. Well, I'm going to say probably. Is going to have, though, when you get to the extreme end of heat stress and moisture stress, this is going to have a little better stress tolerance than even 3681, which we think is a very good product. Huge grain yields, going to fall right in line with NK300 style. So if you have anybody out there that's using that today, i.e. some of the sorghum partners, people that have been out in the country, or some of you as retailers that have sold sorghum partners in the past. Yeah. So Tom, to answer your question, the 300 in here ties very closely to the 300 in NK300. Wink, wink. Okay. So if you have folks in those scenarios, that's going to be a very good direct replacement for any NK300 acre in a cropland bag called FS3300. 3501, been a staple for us for a long time. Highest volume single cut forage sorghum that we still sell at cropland today. Very stress tolerant, very good yielder. Again, very dense plant. It has a lot of leaves and a very dense stalk. So it doesn't look like the biggest forage sorghum out there. And when you see it in plots, you kind of question what's going on. this thing still puts out the pounds. The tonnage in pounds is what we measure going across the scale. We don't need to have a big fluffy pile. We need to have a really good, solid, dense pile. I'm going to call it on the lower end of plant populations. We like to do this thing somewhere between 50 and 60,000. 60,000 is becoming better for us. We learned some lessons where we had people overpopulate early on, scared us a little bit. We went all the way back down to 50 or 55, and we're creeping our way back into that 60,000 range as people understand it and do a great job of management. So conventional, very stress tolerant. You might see it start to show a little bit of it's got these leaves that kind of twist and roll a little bit. In the summer, that's not stress response. This product just generally has a little bit of a twist to its leaf. It's just the plant shape and architecture. So don't get nervous if you see it starting to twist in the middle of the summer. It's fine, not a problem. 7 to 8 feet tall, manages that height. We can take it over the Rockies and out into California, and it doesn't waver. That thing stays very consistent on plant height in good environments where there's moisture. Anything we talk about here today, I've given you some plant heights in here where we have hotter, drier, more stressful scenarios. Things are going to shrink up just a little bit. So don't take, every time you see 8 foot or 9 foot in here, don't take that to the bank that it's going to be that plant height every day, all day long. 3506 has the same male, again, as 3501, companion type product for today. A little bit better on irrigated ground. So this thing responds a little bit better to irrigation, or moisture. So heavier soil, irrigation, 3506 gives you just a little bit of a yield pop. And I would call it at times 5 to 10%. So on a 20-ton yield, it might get you 2 more tons if you're on an irrigated scenario. So same type of piece here, 60, 65,000 plant population. We're getting really good at that. Going to be about 8 foot tall. Again, going to have a little weird twist to the leaf. 3501, the other product, as you go look at a field, 3501 is going to be a little more consistent in plant height. 3506 has a little bit more noise and some difference in plant height between plants in there. All right. 3681 AT. So 3681 AT is, I would say with pretty good certainty, probably the highest yielder in our lineup today. From a conventional standpoint, we're going to call it medium to medium late, 107 to 110 day type maturity, sugarcane aphid tolerance. This is a very tough, scrappy type of product. It handles sugarcane aphid tolerance when they're in it. So they're still going to infest. They're going to get in there. It just simply muscles through it, handles the stress well. Very big, dense canopy, very high leaf expression, especially later on in the season. Once we start getting out there towards the fuller part of the season, that thing really, really fills in, and that upper canopy is so dense you don't even think about trying to walk through it. So, high tonnage, very good on drought and stress. Probably not as stress tolerant as 3501 or the 3300 that we talked about just a minute ago, but very good product. And again, probably the highest yielding thing that you'll see in there. And if you go to in our trials in Bushland, Texas, University Texas A&M trials, it's going to flip-flop back and forth between number 1, 2, and 3 on a yearly basis. It just depends on the year, but very, very good. All right, 3851. I see so many numbers. It's just making me crazy. Probably one of the more overlooked products that we have. Excellent yielder. It's a conventional. It is brachytic. It has eye growth herbicide tolerance to it. So you can spray this crop with Imiflex. So it's imidiazolone tolerant product. If you have a few of the broadleaves that will control well, and if you have a grassy weed problem. This is probably, again, like I said, one of the most overlooked products that we have in here, because we can keep some weeds out if your pre-emerge fails, doesn't get enough moisture. We're going to have that thing is attractively priced this year. Again, great yield potential. I've got a data slide coming for you here in just a second. Really good on drought stress tolerance as well. Again, great choice for some single cut options. We're going to call that a late maturing product, somewhere about 110 days. But we'll show you just a little bit of this information. I've got some early stuff on the top corner, but if you get into the bottom right part of this slide deck, you see 3681. This is internal cropland data from one of our answer plots. So 3681 was the yield leader. 3851. This is pretty common results. Is a couple tons less, but yields as well are right in there with 3501, 3541. So from a yield standpoint, herbicide tolerant, this thing is fantastic. So keep that in mind. We have some available online. We can get some more in our bag if we need it. You just need to communicate with me and we can go forward with some more of those. Now, this is a lot of single cut forage sorghums. Guys, I have this thing in my brain that we can do better about selling single cut forage sorghums in the country. We should be able to talk through the agronomics of it very well. For those people that have crappy corn acres and they're continuing to try to make silage, where it's usually a water and stress play, we need to be better at positioning single cut forage sorghums instead of corn. We are a corn marketing company, I understand. The right thing for this grower scenario: improve your input costs, improve your risk mitigation, because we have a crop that can produce in those crappy situations, and we have places that have water allocations. So let's utilize these things. Single cut, BMR, brachytic, sugarcane aphid tolerant forage sorghum, 3541. Folks, has done a fantastic job for us. It does not yield the same as some of the big hitter conventionals. It's no secret. I don't think anybody in the industry is going to tell you that it will yield better than everything else in the industry. For those people that want to have a crop that's high digestibility, high efficiency, sugarcane aphid tolerant, give you that BMR in there, excellent on salts, this is a fantastic product. And I've had so many people send me text messages, Snapchats, different things about 3541 and how fantastic it looked this last year and how happy the growers were with yield on those acres. Even some of those places where you thought sorghum might die, this thing pulled through, did very well, very good quality. And again, if you guys have anything that you want to add or say, please just go off mute, throw something in the chat, whatever it might be. But 3541 for us, folks, I think we had it mislabeled earlier. It's gonna need to be in that 115 to 120 day product mix mark. It's not early. Earlier breeder notes we had told us that it should be about 107 to 110, but it's acting more like 115 to 120. So keep that in mind. But for those of you that have been using it, don't let that scare you either. If it fits in your market and it's been taken care of well and you've done a great job, continue to use it in that slot. 3731. We have a supply in our hands for 2025, fall 2026 to plant. We will be transitioning away from 3731 in the future and most likely just handle one of these brachytic full season late maturity type BMR products, and that will be 3541. Please go ahead and continue using 3731 in 2026 for those orders that you've had. Maybe you've got some placed already, but just keep it in the back of your mind that this likely will not be available or be a very short supply in the following coming year. So I want to set you up to be successful. So if you need to do some side-by-sides in fields, get people to look at 3541 as we go forward. Great product. Just having two products in a late maturity category that almost look the same really doesn't make any sense. So we'll be cutting one out. One more, 3805. So if you are in a market where you had people doing the Sorghum Partners SS405, this is your product. You can go in after those acres where SS405 was, go get them. Very drought stress tolerant. There's some guys I know, it goes all the way up into western South Dakota, that they just love this thing. Gets tall, 10, 12 feet. They feel like they've got a big thing going on. Sweet stock type product that everybody talks about. High yields, decent forage quality. I would say in some of those areas you're gonna struggle because of maturity, but they still like it in some of those acres. Hot, dry, very stress tolerant. So with that being said, if you are one of those retailers or in an area with a retailer that has traditionally sold some Sorghum Partners material, we do have this product in a cropland bag, 3805. Go tackle those tough acres in that long maturity. All right, brief pause. Any thoughts or comments from the peanut gallery? This is your time to talk to me, ask me some questions about stuff on the single cut forage sorghums. Okay, Lane, question 3541. Anything a little bit earlier, 95 to 105 day? I would say there's a high potential that could happen. And maybe something in that 95 to 105 day range that's not a true brachytic, but dwarf. So put us in that, again, 6 to 7 foot range, but not a true brachytic where the nodes are so tightly compacted. There's something out there. I've seen it. Looks promising. I probably even posted a video about it one day. So yes. Thanks for the question. No other comments. 1531, folks. This is probably one of our staple products. Going to stay as a staple product. We sell, depending on the year, 15 to 17,000 units of this guy. Very stress tolerant, very good product. Works fantastic for those guys that are doing multiple cuts or grazing multiple times. Again, as people call and tell me that when we get into these areas where the water shuts off and sorghum actually will die, 1531 is going to be one of the last sorghums that's going to try to go dormant, I would say. Let's continue to use it that way. Pivot corners, worst of the worst dry land situations. Don't even know what else to say about it. Very tough, very resilient. Use it for those guys that are going to want to get things harvested before that 50-day after planting range. It's the earliest that we have in the lineup that will put a head on at 50 to 55 days. So let's utilize this crop for those people that definitely need the stress tolerance. They're going after multiple cuts, multiple rotational grazing pieces, things of that nature. So again, 1531 just kind of speaks for itself. It's been just fantastic for us for a long time. Going to stay a key product. And again, this one will have the option to order just Concept, or it will have Concept Cruiser as a seed treatment for 2025-26 growing season. So keep that in mind. That's your Cruiser insecticide treated option. Green Treat Advance. Folks, we're going to retire Green Treat Advance, and you will see the replacement for that coming up shortly. This year, there's been a slight price reduction on Advance to help get that acre covered. maybe capture some more acres for the cropland brand, have a very good product on that acre, but realize this thing is going to be retired. There'd be no returns on it this year. So Advance has been a great product for us. There's nothing really wrong with it, but I think we have some improvements coming that you will all agree are very, very good. We used a product for multiple years called Green Treat Guardian AT. Guardian AT has been really good for us as well. BMR, sorghum Sudan grass, sugarcane aphid tolerant, dwarf in stature. Again, we have some new stuff coming down the pipeline. This thing will get retired this year. We have no returns set up in that in the Evolve ordering system. So use what you get. Go out there, get after some of those acres where a guy might be struggling to go from a really cheap BMR to a little bit better BMR. This would be a great product to go do some, as we call it, the ladder brand or the battle brand type pieces with. So again, new products coming. 1923 is not available. No carryover, no bags. Don't ask. Not using it again because we have these two fantastic products. 1931, 1961. 1931, we brought in to replace a bunch of stuff, and that would have been Green Treat Advance, Guardian AT. I love the option of having photo period sensitive so that we can let that thing go if we want to, because as our environment changes and the growing season changes throughout the season, sometimes when we plant, we don't have a real solid plan on how we're going to harvest it, how long it needs to stand there, how we're going to use it. And this gives us the option to cut earlier, cut in the middle of the season, let it go photo period sensitive, and go out full season if we want to. The picture that you see here, I think, was taken at about 109 days after it was planted, roughly. 8 foot tall, big mop of leaves. That's what it will look like if you just kind of let it go full season. So beautiful product. We love 1931. Going to have some dwarf gene in there. Again, photo period sensitive, so it won't put a head on until we get to about 12 hours, 20 minutes of daylight. Male sterile. So if we do get out there into that later part of the season and there's no other pollen around, it will not produce viable seed. Keeps sugar stored in that stalk. And I've got a guest on here, Chris Leach, if he's still on. Yep, I see him still down there. If you're still paying attention, Chris, do you have anything else you'd like to add for the features, the benefits of this 1931 type product? And or anybody else on the call?
No, not that I know of. I think you've covered kind of the main benefits. It's just being incredibly flexible with all customer base, no matter dairy, beef, or timing of planting. I think it's probably one of the most flexible things out there right now in the market.
Yeah, so folks, anybody else have any comments? I know there's a few of you that I've had some phone calls with that have been extremely happy about 1931. Growers are tickled to death. People see some videos, and there's one of the best uses of social media right there. When you post pictures like this and videos that I've got out there about how cool these things are, people actually call me and reach out to me behind the scenes. So use some of these. Go ahead, Chris.
There might be one thing we can talk about is the drought tolerance in a photo period trait. We place this into some really hard areas in New Mexico. Some guys had 1931, 1961. And even on dry land had some 8, 9, 10 foot tall stands chopping easily 20 tons on dry land. So I think a lot of guys in the Western Corn Belt ought to be looking at a photo period trait.
Thank you. Absolutely.
I would echo that, Jeff. We had it in Oakley, Kansas this year, both the 31 and the 61 that you'll talk about here. And the salesperson had it on his own farm and pretty much given up on it until it started raining. And I think he would probably tell you that he cut more off of that field than he has in quite some time.
Yep. I tell you what, I've heard a few of those stories. I'm going to talk about the next product and I'm going to tee it up. So, Willie, if you're on here, I want you to speak up after we get done with this next one, too. So, obviously, folks, 1931 is going to be a key product. You get the breeder on the call right now. I'm going to say this without saying it too loud, but I think we can probably get about as much as we need. We have a pretty good order position on it today. And we're going to pair with the next guy coming down the road called 1961. Now, 1961 just doesn't have that dwarf in there, and it gets a little bit taller. Again, this is what we would consider to truly replace and be a huge improvement in my mind over what we used to sell as our 1923, folks, because 1923 was not brachytic, not dwarf, but it was photoperiod sensitive and BMR. Now, this brings us that male sterile aspect so we can store sugar, not produce grain, and it has sugarcane aphid tolerance. So anybody that ever used 1923 before and liked it, you could sell them this today and you probably get a Christmas card. That's the way I feel about this kind of thing right now. So with that being said, Chris Chandler. Chris Chandler, are you on here by any chance?
I am. I am, Jeff.
Hey, tell some folks a little story that you told me about a couple of these products. I think it's a cool story that I'd love everybody to hear about your guy.
I had it was a 1931. I went back and looked, Jeff.
Yep.
And about, well, it wasn't quite halfway through the season. His son was griping at him, the grower, saying, "Is this plant ever going to grow?" I explained to him BMR trait, it grows a little bit slower initially getting out of the gate, but then toward the end of the season, he was complaining, "Is it ever going to stop growing?" and put a head on. They ended up taking it to silage, and it made over 20 ton on a 60-acre field. It was absolutely amazing. It was so thick you couldn't even walk through it. The amount of foliage and the leaf and the production off that field was unreal. And that was planted at about 20 pounds the acre. And
so if I'm not mistaken, at one point, yes, the son had basically wrote it off as being a disaster because it wasn't doing anything. It wasn't getting what was going on. And then it did. It just took off. And then we had to do one of those I told you so, right?
that's correct. I had to follow up. And I had quite the conversation with the son regarding his professional thought process.
So, folks, these two products in our lineup today, to me, are going to just take us to that whole next level. I don't know how else to say it other than we've got good 1531 on the front side. I think, Chris Leach, another thing that you and I've talked about, when we start talking about drought scenarios and when we get extremely hot and dry, it shortens up a lot of different plants. And by using the 1961, we can maintain a little bit of that height better. The guys will feel a little bit more relaxed and not get so uptight when we get into those scenarios where maybe it's getting a little hot, getting a little dry, and some other products are just going to shrink up and stay short. Have you seen much of that, or can you talk to that a little bit more based on some of our conversations?
Yeah, I just kind of give you some personal.
Yeah.
We actually grow a lot of these products ourselves for our own farms and our own feed yards here at home before we really release them out in the public. I had 1961 4 years ago under a pivot, lost the wells for a while, couldn't water, and I thought, well, I've killed it. It kind of turned blue, it shrunk back, and I thought, well, I guess I can go ahead and dry bale it or something. Didn't water it for 6 weeks, and if you don't know where I'm at, guys, I'm in the southern Texas Panhandle. Rain and irrigation are a premium, right? And we ended up watering at the end of August and still came back and chopped 18 tons on a 8, 9, 10 foot tall plant that we planted pretty light population. So I do like the fact that I have put Guardian in the past in tough situations, and like you're saying, sometimes it just ends up incredibly small and in a hard situation. But the 1961 just kind of takes a beating, and I ought to share the pictures with you because I sent pictures out to people at our plant saying, "Oh, this thing just is dead. I don't know what to do with it." And then we put up a nice pile of feed off that pivot. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that most definitely still maintains that height and ability to move on.
Yeah, and so folks, the photo I have in this seed guide type piece for the presentation here today was uh, that product planted at one of our answer plots. It's probably 150,000 plant population on 30-inch rows. So again, that's only about 10 pounds to the acre, and we're going to have growers out there with the drill plant, 20 to 25 pounds, and the regrowth on that's about 20 days of regrowth after we cut it. Again, looks fantastic. So you've
Hey,
seen it?
Jeff.
Yes, please.
Hey, question. This is Dan out west here.
Yes.
Maybe you or Chris or either. On the other side of the hot and dry, where we get colder nights, how early do I dare plant like a 1931? We get cold nights. We want to get it in as quick as we can, but what soil temperature, what temperature do you prefer on the 1931 and the 1961?
Well, my gut reaction before Chris gets off the mute would be we need to stay in that 60 to 65 degree range to make sure that we're doing the right thing and not taking a bunch of vigor out of it.
Sure, sure. Where are you located at, Dan?
So we're Idaho, Utah, Nevada, California, like those areas.
Sure, sure. We're higher elevation where we're at, about 4,000 feet. We struggle with that into May as well, and I have just never been able to see any good judgment to planting it before 60 degrees because it's like planting corn when it's 45 degrees. It just sits.
Okay.
So staying in that 60-degree range is going to make everybody happier.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So Dan, those days where you're wondering how come your sorghum hasn't been shipped yet, I'm doing it on purpose so you can't plant too early.
Now I know. Okay. At least I know the true story now.
Okay, so good question though. Appreciate it. Okay, one more photoperiod sensitive. So we introduced a photoperiod sensitive honey sweet product. So straight conventional, but it's photoperiod sensitive and sugarcane aphid tolerant. And I don't know where that's going to go for us, folks, but I want you to know it's out there. We're trying to play that brand ladder piece again, where we have something that's going to be huge yield, look very good. I have two photos. So this is a photo of just that photoperiod sensitive. I'm going to bring up another one. So this photo was taken at about 70 days. So Honey Sweet's done a very, very good job for us, and it probably will into the future. But I just want to throw this out there. For those people that are not going to cut early, and I'm going to say cut early, which would be boot stage before things put a head on, and they're going to let their value economy price honey sweet just stand out there and take it later in the season. Why would we not just plant something that's going to be photoperiod sensitive and have more tons of average quality material? So this picture was taken at about 70 days after planting, and you can see honey sweets put a head on. The photoperiod sensitive has not. Then I came back and took a picture about 40 days later. The photoperiod sensitive was probably 10, 11, 12 feet tall. The regular honey sweet was still 7 foot tall, scraggly head, getting really wiry, starting to fall down. I just want people to start thinking through some of those dynamics. If we can continue to raise tons, why would we shut something down at 55 days and let it just stand there? So let's think about a few of those things as we go forward. How we can use that with some of that monster material. Honey Sweet BMR still in our lineup, so we have that step change from the conventional Honey Sweet products to a BMR Honey Sweet. Nothing special, a little bit higher digestibility, gets people into that BMR bracket. We still like to use it. We still have the Honey Sweet in there. Now, I'm going to throw up another poll here for you all to help me with, if I can find that in the background. Now I need to find my new poll. Okay. Well, it's still more challenging than I thought. I'll try to talk and try to find that poll at the same time. But folks, what we talked about this last year, we have a prussic acid-free sorghum Sudan grass. Why can't I find that silly thing? Oh, it's asking me other questions. Here we go. Let's launch that one now. So last year, the prussic acid-free sorghum Sudan grass, where it does not produce durin, it was a little overpriced. There's been a price adjustment on that style of product. There are two available. There's a conventional and a BMR. We have access to both of them. The questions that I popped up for you would be, would you prefer a BMR, just a straight conventional? Would you like to see seed treatment on that for for herbicide, weed control? How do you want to play this game? We have some options, but I'm looking for some insight from you all. The pricing has been adjusted on the prussic acid-free products. We have the conventional one is on the price list. We now know that the BMR is available. We'll probably be looking for a price card, an updated price card with the BMR product in it so that you guys know what that price looks like. I'm just curious. I talked to some people just the other day that not everybody's in this game, trust me, but they do rotational grazing on a large number of acres with a lot of cows. And there's getting to be more of that every day. And when I brought up the fact that the pricing had been adjusted, is probably $30 to $40 a bag cheaper than it was a year ago, they didn't even hesitate to say, we want some, we'll try it. We want to use it in our rotational grazing system. That way, when we're out there, we can just go on our phone, use our virtual fence with our e-collars and change where the cows are going to graze tomorrow. But for everyone else that has people that likes to graze, and we get this fall grazing question every year about prussic acid and how long do we get to keep the cows out and when should we rotate and how long should we rotate, this would alleviate some of those questions and risk. So anyway, we have that available to everybody today. So thanks for asking those questions. It looks to me like the BMR kind of wins, and we need to keep it safe so we don't have mistakes and people either think that it was safe and then kill it, or have a grass escape that gets away from everybody and we can use our Charger Basic or Dual 2 Magnum type product, the S-metolachlors, and keep things cleaned up. So thank you for filling out that poll information. I appreciate it. That's fantastic. Now, on with life. Last subject here, I believe, in our forward sorghum discussion would be pearl millets. In the past, you have had 4611 and 4612. Next year, you'll have a product called 4613. You will give up nothing. It will look the same, touch the same, feel the same, yield the same. There will be no problems with that product at all. And it's about inventory management. We're going to switch to 4613. Great product. Again, no differences. Then we won't have to fight this thing where a grower or a seller calls in and says, hey, I need some 4612. And we have a stack of 4611 sitting there. This will get us back down to one SKU, hybrid pearl millet, fantastic product, BMR, brachytic, no prussic acid. So again, here's one of those pieces. Beautiful option for prussic acid grazer type guys. Not a host of sugarcane aphids, so really pretty damn cool product as well. Very, very high quality products, very stress tolerant. We just probably need to be better at talking about hybrid pearl millets with our customers and promoting that. It seems like we get some cycles in our sales curve. Part of that depends on moisture and which region we're going to ship to. But we could be better at hybrid pearl millets as a system if we just remember that they're there and we can talk about them and use them. Very good yielding. Matter of fact, I've had some side-by-side trials with 4611 and 4612 with our sorghum Sudan grasses, and they will yield as well or better in some situations than like 1531 Green Treat Advanced cut at 45 or 50 days. So very good, very, very good products. Any thoughts or questions on those, please let me know. 4507, conventional pearl millet, probably the highest yielding pearl millet I've seen in the industry, high quality, does not carry the BMR trait, but in everything that I've seen, and Chris, you don't know how much yield stuff you have down there at your place, but I think 4507 will out yield the BMRs by a touch. If they're going to get out there and graze it, I think your quality is going to be not as much different between this product from what I've seen on tests as we would see in the conventional sorghum Sudan grasses. Yeah, go ahead, Chris. I see you went off mute there for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, we do quite a bit of testing on that and testing against some of the single strain millets as well. And once you get into Nebraska Panhandle, Western Dakotas, where those single strain millets reigned for quite some time, I've got guys in northern Nebraska that say 4507 is 3x the tons as a single strain. So I don't, and the regrowth is phenomenal compared to a single strain if you needed regrowth. So we have a lot of data supporting that this is probably one of the top yielding hybrid pearl millets out there.
So I'm also one of those guys that have taken yield tests against golden German millet, the white wonders of the world, any of those other millets, folks. I'm telling you, these hybrid pearl millets just simply out yield them, and you get fantastic regrowth if you take care of things correctly. So in my estimation, we should be taking over the dang millet world with these types of products. We get into scenarios where it's all about price, and they're used to some of those other things, and they want to dry fast so they can dry bale. Yeah, when you get 2 to 3 times as much material in a windrow, it's going to slow things down just a touch on dry down. But folks, it's a great opportunity for yield, so let's be aware of that. All right, we're going to slip through a couple slides on Triticale real quick. We got about 3 minutes left. I put that in the original appointment that we were going to talk Triticale. You guys continue to add questions in here. I'll let anybody hang on as long as you want to after noon o'clock, talk about other stuff. So we have a list of reasons why we love Triticale. Great on marginal soil, drought tolerant, great yield compared to open pollinated rye and the cereal stuff out there that everybody combines and sells to their neighbor. Disease tolerance, great grazing tolerance, deep fibrous root system. We all about getting roots and biological material and all that good stuff going on. Store carbon deeper, all those fancy things. What it does for us at the Cropland brand and at Winfield is gives us that winter annual crop to stay on that acre 300 degrees, 365 days a year. So pair that with your warm season annuals, your alfalfa, your corn silage, those products, and we have a system that works very, very well to bolster that. 23, 24, fall of 25, we did plantings at multiple FGI locations to get some information. We are doing product screening for new varieties for us at Cropland. So it's all about you guys. This is going to be some elite material coming through, and you can see the plots look fantastic. Now, the winter of 24, spring of 25 was fantastic for us to do screening on winter hardiness. I wanted to show you guys that this is what a couple of our plots looked like. And this was actually West Salem, Wisconsin. You can tell that was a very, very valuable piece of information, and we have some genetics that are coming through the pipeline that are just going to blow the doors off. So we're excited about that. More Triticales coming. We are on a fast track right now with 5, 6, maybe even up to 7 hybrids where we are doing parent line increases so we can get seed to you all faster. And then the next year, I want you to keep your eyes open, and please push me to get this information to you. But we want to do plot tours in Nampa, Idaho, Garden City, Kansas, West Salem, Wisconsin. South Dakota State University has 8 varieties planted for us in Beersford, South Dakota. So anybody in that area as well, I-29 corridor for that dairy corridor, we need to be scheduling out some plot tours, and it's probably going to be May, late April and May. So everybody's going to be busy, but if you want that information, we're going to try to get that done for you next year. The whole scenario between awnless and whiskers, folks, we have Triticale right now. Blade W01 is what we call our winter hardy variety that's going to handle the north the best. And it does have awns on it. So it is fully whiskered for those people that are needing some triticale in the north. As we get just a little bit farther south, and I'm going to call it probably Interstate 90 or south, we can get by with FO2A, which is the awnless type variety. This is facultative and awnless, so it can be planted in the spring or in the fall. If we spring plant it, it does not need to go through vernalization to produce a pretty good crop. It will be a little less than what it would be if it were fall planted, but it gives us an opportunity still to go through and do some of that. Well, I wanted to show you a couple slides with a little bit of yield data. And I simply left in some of the EXP numbers so you can see that if we compare to ProGas and Aviator, which are earlier maturing type hybrid rye, when you look at Garden City, Kansas last year, our newer EXP products were in that mid 24 ton range, right at or with those, I'm going to call them a little bit higher priced hybrid rye, 21, 22 ton. I would say out here you get this ProGas out in Nampa, Idaho. It matured faster, grew faster. The day we harvested some of these other crops, really, they were still in the boot stage. So just kind of you have to understand some of those locations to understand the data a little bit. But we have some great yielding products out there for you guys. Again, Garden City and Nampa, Idaho, medium maturity set, 25 ton, 26 ton in Garden City. So great yielders. Excited to bring that all to you. New stuff coming. Late maturity set. Yep. 25 ton, 26 ton. So we have some great products in the pipeline. Again, we're moving forward with some new varieties. We'll have some stuff to launch, to plant. Fall of 27 is going to be the big launch. We're going to get fall of 26. We'll get some stuff out there on smaller quantities on acres. But folks, we have a big set coming. So with that, I'm over time by a couple minutes. Jeff Jackson, I want to thank you, the DFC team, the Forage team. You guys, we couldn't do it without you out there. So thank you for all your support. Keep asking questions. Stick with us. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming, and I'm excited to be a part of this with all of you. So if anybody has any questions, I'm just going to hang out here for a few minutes. And
Hey, Jeff.
let's talk. Yeah, please.
Hey, I want to if you want to go back one slide, I just want to make something kind of clear on the Triticale. We use the associate model. That's the bottom bullet point on the bottom right. And what that basically is we don't handle that business like we do corn and soybeans and alfalfa. We have seed producers across the country that we call associates that is growing that stuff for us. So I just want at least the people from my area to understand right now we don't have any Triticale associates, in Western Kansas, and I don't think there's any in Western Nebraska right now. So if you know of anybody that's a good maybe wheat seed producer, that kind of stuff, get in touch with myself or one of the Winfield guys, and let's talk about maybe making an opportunity for them and for you guys potentially.
Tom, that's a great point. So in order for this all to fly and work the way we want it to, we actually have to create some of our own success, is how I'm going to say it. And to your point, Tom, if you have people in your areas that are really good at producing small grain, have the ability to clean it, put it in some bulk bags, and would like to be an associate to help us grow, merchandise, and market, distribute, if you will, these types of products. We're looking for help. And, we've had some great discussions with some of you on the phone, even probably. And we're in that growth mode right now where we need to get those guys identified. So yes, thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing this, Jeff.
It's because of you that we have success based on what I lead and put in front of you.
Thank you.